Welcome to Business Startup for Boomers. This is the show that brings you inspiration and ideas to start your own boomer business. Here's your hosts, Larry Aarons and Jeff Williams.
We're here to help you identify a business or inspire you to start a business as a boomer entrepreneur. As Jeff Williams says, it's baby boomers are one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial categories in the country. And his whole business, Biz Starters, is focused on helping boomers start businesses. Jeff is here with us again, and today we're going to talk about selling training services to businesses. Jeff, this is a specialized area, isn't it?
It sure is. Hi, Larry. Great to be here again. I have done corporate training off and on for a large part of the 25 years that I've been in business. It's one of the 3 or 4 different businesses that I have. So let me talk a bit about how you get into this. There are so many different kinds of training-related needs that businesses and corporations want that you really need to start off by writing down as specifically as possible what the need is you're going to solve. You're going to train who on what. That's basically what you want to answer. Are you training entry-level employees? Are you training the newest employees? Are you training mid-level people? Is it aimed at the top-level executive? Is it aimed at employees of medical facilities? Be as specific as you can. Military, maybe you're going to train military. I have several friends that make a very good living just doing training for the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. So it's you need to be specific because there's only one of you, and you're trying to get a business that can do $50,000 to $100,000 a year. You got to be focused. So number one is to write out the need you're going to satisfy, and then the second thing you need to do, of course, is to say, okay, I've defined 1, 2, 3 specific needs. Now I need an action plan for each one of these. And this may take you a number of weeks to create. You're really going to need to sit down and think about this. Okay, what's the first step I do? What's the second step? What's the third step? How do I combine, say, like online and video training with live training versus workbook training? There's all these different ways to communicate the knowledge and expertise that you need in order to train someone. And not everybody learns the same way. Some people learn really, really well from watching video. Mm-hmm. Some people learn better from listening to you. And yet, still, there's a third group that really wants you to be there in the flesh to help them do the training. So you really need, in order to be successful today, you need to be able to take your training and say, okay, I'm going to have it in several formats. I'm going to have it live, online, and by video. But before you do that, you have to essentially sit down and write out what it is you're going to do training. And I will tell you that from my own experience, you cannot be too exact and explicit in writing this down. I mean, you need to put down every little detail, even to the point where you might script this and say, okay, I stop here for questions. And then your script goes on, and you say, I stop here for applause.
We do that a lot on
television.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
This seems like a very time-intensive business, but the rewards on the other end are pretty good, aren't they?
Yes, and I'll tell you how you make this work financially, and that's by selling group training. Group training can produce a lot of money. You can walk away from a 2-day group training session with $5,000 to $10,000 in your pocket. Well, maybe not in your pocket, but at least you have the right to be paid that amount of money. And this is because corporations, quite often, when they're doing training, they kind of have some vague idea how much it should cost per employee. So if you go to them and say, listen, we're going to do 1-day training, we're going to charge $400 per employee, and they're going to get the training materials, plus they're going to get a question and answer phone line that they can call in afterward, and we're going to sell this to you for $400 a person. Minimum of 10. So you can say in your offering, we need to have a minimum number to do this. Mm-hmm. And this is how you really make the money doing this. You can't just train one person or 2 people or 3 people. You got to train 5, 10, 15, 20 people at a time.
Makes sense. Do you also get expenses to go in and do this?
Yes. This is a lot like being a consultant in that if you're smart about this, almost every dollar of expense that you incur once you leave your house or your office is paid for by somebody. The limo ride to the airport, hotel, the breakfast, even incidentals in the gift shop while you're out of town, almost all of that stuff is billable to your client. Now, it has to be part of the contract, so I will tell you that trainers typically do have a lawyer-prepared contract. And the contract stipulates all kinds of things. For example, let's say you're scheduled 3 weeks from this week to do training, and you get the flu right before you're supposed to go, and you are just too physically sick. Well, the contract has to allow for that because you did some prep time. Even though you didn't go and do the training, you did some prep time. So maybe what the contract says is that if for some reason I cannot do this training because of physical limitations or something that's beyond my control, you will pay me $500 minimum to cover my preparation time. So you need a contract. Corporations will want a contract. In many cases, in order to be considered as a trainer, you're going to have to either be a corporation or a limited liability company. They don't generally like to deal with what are called sole proprietors, which is the most essential form of a solo practitioner.
I see.
They generally want you to be incorporated, and you have to be able to prove you're incorporated, or in many cases, they will not give you the contract to do this work.
What about your credentials in training in this area? The more, the better?
Yes, absolutely. Well, more the better is good, but you need to be really good at expressing your credentials. I've seen people do the resume dump, what I call the resume dump, where they just have line after line after line of their training. That nobody's going to read all that. You need to be able to say, here are the 4 most important types of training or credentials I bring. I have an MBA from the University of Pennsylvania, and I specialize in this. I have a industry accepted certification called blah, blah, blah. It took me 42 hours to get it. You need to be able to summarize your credentials because some people are just lazy. They list every darn thing they've ever done in order to be trained, and nobody will read all that.
Wow. But if you have the credentials, the background, and the skills to get up in front of an audience and teach well, this can be a really lucrative business for you. The hardest part is getting your business focused down to what you're going to train on, and Jeff can assist you with that in your planning. You can book a call with Jeff, and you do that by going to bizstarters.com. And what do they do from there, Jeff?
Well, just a short distance from the top of the homepage, you'll see a little box that has a link saying, book a call with Jeff. Click on that, takes you to my calendar, shows you all my days and times available. I offer free 30-minute coaching calls to discuss what you want to do and where you might go next. No cost, no obligation.
Very good. Jeff, this sounds really interesting. And if you want to know more, book a call with Jeff and find out more at bizstarters.com. Jeff Williams, everybody, thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry.
This has been Business Startup for Boomers with your hosts, Larry Aarons and Jeff Williams, the show that brings you inspiration and ideas to start your own boomer business. See you next time.